Welcome everyone to another weekly edition of the Argentina Brief, this time for the week of Monday, July 27th. It was a big one. The head of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, touched down in Buenos Aires for a historic visit. Milei addressed the nation on his next set of reforms, including changes at the central bank and a fresh clash with Brazil's Lula that boiled over into a full diplomatic crisis. So let's get into it. So let's start with the reforms. On Thursday night, Milei sent Congress a bill to rewrite the central bank's charter. The goal is to lock in the fight against inflation. The bank's only job becomes protecting the value of the peso, and financing the Treasury would be banned outright. Printing money to cover the deficit would be legally counted as counterfeiting. He paired this move with what he called a fiscal shackle. If the budget slips into deficit for several months, a US-style government shutdown would kick in. He framed this as ending 91 years of decline since that central bank was created in 1934, and coincidentally, this comes as the opening move of his 2027 re-election campaign. The catch, he still needs the votes, and the opposition says it'll debate this article by article. Now on to the other headline act of the week, Kristalina Georgieva, who arrived in Buenos Aires, the first time an IMF head visits the country since Christine Lagarde attended the G20 summit in Buenos Aires 8 years ago. This obviously matters because Argentina owes the fund about $58 billion, more than any other country in the world. She praised the economic team, but she was also blunt during a press conference about what she called a K-shaped economy. Energy, mining, and agriculture are booming, while industry, construction, and consumption are still on the floor. Paradoxically, even as she flagged those weak spots, she reportedly told a dinner of top executives in Argentina that from her point of view, things have never been better in Argentina. And back to the markets, which kept cooperating with things. The Treasury rolled over nearly 145% of maturing debt and pushed most of it past the 2027 election. And Citi stayed cautiously optimistic on Argentina, forecasting almost 3% growth this year, though it warned that a global interest rate hike would be, in its words, like pulling away the ladder while you're painting the roof. On the corporate side, a couple of decent news items. Tesla moved to start selling its cars locally, registering a company and hiring a country manager. I also interviewed TikTok's country manager for Argentina. She's also in charge of South America and Miami. And she said that the business grew more than 140% in a year. That's obviously through ad income. And power distributor Edenor made an irrevocable bid for 70% of Metrogas, which belongs currently to YPF. That's the country's largest gas distributor. On the flip side, while many investors and market sentiment seems to be high in general, the government confidence index, that's what people think of the Milei administration, fell to its lowest level in Milei's term, still high by historical standards compared to where Macri and Cristina Kirchner were at this part of their own mandates in office, but down almost every month this year. So something to take note of for sure. Car sales, for example, dropped more than 9% in the first half, showing that Argentines' pockets aren't doing too great just yet. And even an economist that Milei listens to quite a bit, Ricardo Arriazu, warning that opening up trade will create pockets of unemployment, particularly in the industrial belt around Buenos Aires, which is the largest electorate in the country. So again, something to take note of. That's the week. Don't forget to follow the Argentina Brief on X for the full thread with all the details. Be sure to follow the YouTube and Spotify channels for the monthly hour-long podcast. Episode 5 should be out this week.